This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving Southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jet airliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard the Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this cold November 13th. Yeah, the temperature's about to match the date, except for the date is a little longer than the temperature is, I think. Chilly out there, man. It's cold. Welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle with you here as always. Appreciate you joining us here on this very cold Wednesday. Lot to get to, man. Another big show today. Mike DeCourcy, senior writer for the Sporting News, studio analyst for Big Ten Network, also for Fox now, joining us. Also, Matt Weaver from Pigs.com. We'll talk a little football with him. But when Mike's on, we'll talk a little basketball. It was a boring night. Nothing big happened unless you're an Evansville fan.
Maxey with 4, 3 seconds, elevates on a 3. It's an air ball, and the Aces have gone the road to Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky, and stunned the number 1 Wildcats 67-64. They shocked college basketball on this Tuesday night. What a win for Coach McCarty in his return to Kentucky. Yes!
Wow, what an upset stunner. Kentucky, number 1 in the country, goes down to the Evansville Purple Aces. Holy cow. And the most ironic thing is they're coached by Walter McCarty, a former UK great. Rumor is that Kentucky will now only play Evansville on a neutral court. No home and home for you, man. That's what happens when you beat Kentucky. We can't play you anymore. Good thing they didn't storm the court, man. They'd have had a fit. They'd have made a walk back to Evansville. How you doing? Hope you're having a great day. Lots to get to and talk about. We'll hear from Mike DeCourcy, Matt Weaver, as I said. But also, I had an opportunity to talk to George Leach last night, man. Him and Jeff Newton in town for an event this weekend relating to IU basketball. Those guys are both living down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they're in the barbecue business. And, brother, business is booming, I believe. They are very popular with that barbecue. They do a lot of NASCAR events. I mean, the big-time NASCAR events. So they have found their niche, man. But I had a great conversation with George Leach. Looking forward to hearing that later in the show as well. So lots to get to. Of course, last night, Indiana basketball in action as they took on North Alabama. Another's day. I keep almost mistakenly calling it a preseason games. They're pre-conference games, but mainly it's just an early season game that, you're supposed to win these games. That's Kentucky. These are supposed to be kind of warm-up deals to get your feet. Didn't work out too well for Kentucky, but Indiana handled North Alabama after a kind of a rocky first half. Indiana was making the same defensive mistakes it had made in the first 2 games this season. They weren't rotating to open shooters on the perimeter or keeping North Alabama out of the lane. They gave up some threes last night. But, man, you got to talk about Trace Jackson Davis, the freshman. What a night he had for his second time in his first 3 games as a collegiate. He's in double digits. Almost another double-double. 8 rebounds, 20 points. Or is it 20 or 22? I don't have the stats in front of me. I'm trying to remember. 20 points, but he only hit 4 field goals. He was 4 or 5, so he's pretty efficient. He hit 14 out of 15 free throws. He went to the free throw line 15 times. He missed the last one. Oh, man, was he disappointed. Had he not, he would have tied Jimmy Rale. I believe it was 1962. It would have been the second most free throws without a miss. Ted Kitchell, I believe, hit 18 of 18 whenever he was here back in, was it 80, 81, something like that. I think it was against Illinois. But, man, the freshman doing it. That's that's an issue that Indiana has had. So to have a night like that, Indiana shot 80. First of all, they got to the free throw line, and this has been an emphasis that Archie Miller had talked about, getting to the free throw line, which, when we first heard that, we're like, well, that's great, but you guys can't hit free throws. You don't hit free throws very well. Well, they kind of getting that rolling now, because last night they hit an astounding 82%. 37 of 45. Now, Trace Jackson, of course, was a bulk of that, but you do that, you get to the free throw line a lot and you hit your free throws, that is going to help this team immensely. And Archie knows that this team does not have the firepower to win games without that. And that's part of why this has been made such an emphasis of getting what I call free points. They're going to need them. Now, they're not going to get to the free throw line 45 times very often. That's the most Indiana has shot since 2013. 37 points from free throws.
Refs really weren't letting anybody play last night. They had control of that game. There was a lot.
Yeah, and another thing, we saw, I think, the fourth flopping call, Jake. Well, the first three were warnings. Saw a call actually last night because the same player got hit with it twice last night. That resulted in a one-shot technical foul. But obviously that's a point of emphasis this year, is the flopping, which is good. You're not accustomed to seeing it. But they're wanting to hit it hard in these early season games to put an end to it now before the season breaks in. And I think it'll work. I don't think Indiana was called for flopping in any of these. So that shows you the lesser talented teams are trying to do whatever they can to get an advantage. Archie Miller spoke after the game, of course, on the win. Let's hear what Archie had to say.
Keep learning a lot about ourselves. The big picture defensively, we're not there. I thought we made some strides, leading into the game, but perimeter defense, guarding the 3-point line, being able to execute just with great intensity, just it wasn't there, and let them get off to a really good start shooting the ball. Second half better, and overwhelmingly the free throw line continues to be an advantage for us. We're finding ways to get there, but we're 3-0, and they're not easy to get. It doesn't really matter who you play. It's hard. It's early in the year, and for us, we'll take it, and we got to find a way to get better for Saturday night.
There's Archie Miller, Indiana basketball coach, as he talked about Saturday. Saturday, Indiana will play Troy. I think Troy's in the same conference as, North Alabama. They're both in Alabama, of course, but they're on their schedule, so I'm assuming they're in the same conference. But Indiana getting the test that they need right now. And trust me, and that's one of the things. I wish we had this clip, but I don't know where it is. But I asked Todd Leary last night about why is it that in this early season, teams, whether it's Kentucky or Indiana or whomever, are playing teams that they're obviously much more talented than. But these games can be close in dogfights. Whereas in March, that's not going to be the case. And I still don't really know why in this early season are they able to stay with it. Obviously, the Indianas and Kentuckys are not where they're going to be, but I guess that's because they just have such a higher ceiling. It just takes them longer to get there. But it provides for some entertaining early season games, at least. We also had some player reaction last night. Jake, who do we have?
We have Trace Demese and Jerome Hunter.
All right, let's hear Trace Jackson Javison crew.
I guess, Trace, first of all, for you, the free throws, the big improvement. I know you've changed that a little bit. Just kind of how much does that help you being able to hit at this rate, as much as you can get out moving forward?
It really was just Coach O really put an emphasis on not starting the ball so far down low, but kind of putting it up, and so it's less room for error, and it's worked pretty well for me so far. It was just really concentration for me, and I did really well tonight.
Have you ever made this many out of them? Have you ever shot this well before?
No.
John, then Zach.
Trace, Coach Miller said after the last game that he just wanted you to be more assertive. I mean, did he say those things to you, and is that kind of a message that you took to heart?
Most definitely. You always take it hard as a player. Coach Miller just wants me to be more aggressive on the floor, and I thought my teammates put me in positions to score, and I took advantage of those.
Zach?
What does that look like, too, for you at the defensive end of the floor? I mean, in terms of how do you want that to kind of manifest itself when you talk about being more aggressive at that end?
Just being able to just guard my guard. So basically just not getting beat off the dribble. I know it's happened a few times tonight, but I just really just need to assert myself on the defensive end, especially if I'm going to play the forward position.
Tom?
There's the player reaction. Indiana, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10-player rotation last night. The least amount of time that a player played was Race Thompson with 17 minutes. So Archie's getting these guys as many minutes as he can get right now, and he's using a lot of different rotations, a lot of different combinations in there. You're still without Devontae Green, don't forget, which that's going to make a difference once he comes back. But that's the big question. How is that going to work? Integrate? Are they going to be able to? How well are they going to be able to integrate this and get that going into a consistent starting lineup? Rob Finney still coming off the bench, but he played 22 minutes last night. He played 26 minutes in the game before. He had 13 points last night. Again, that's an efficient outing for him. 4 of 8 from the field, 2 of 4 behind the three-point line. You'll take that all day long. 3 of 4 at the free throw line. Everybody shot free throws well last night. Al Durham is still perfect on the season. He was 3 of 3. Franklin was 2 of 2. Justin Smith, 3 of 4. Jackson Davis, 14 of 15. That number just jumps out at you. Joey Brunk was 2 of 3. Finney, 3 of 4. Davis, 4 of 6. Hunter, 3 of 4. And Thompson, 3 of 4. Anderson's the only one that didn't draw a free throw. No one missed more than one. I haven't seen free throw shooting by an Indiana team under the Archie Miller era. That's without question. That's a good sign for them. Tim texts in, says, IU football tied for third place in the East with Michigan. Yep. If we win out, could move up to second place. Yeah, that's going to take winning out. That'll be something. We'll talk about that later on with Matt Weaver on the program. Got to hit a break here, but we've got a lot coming up. Mike DeCourcy's going to join us next. Matt Weaver's going to be on the program today as well. We're going to hear from George Leach today. Man, we got a lot to get to. We'll hear from Todd Leary, his thoughts on the game last night as well. So plenty to get to here on Indiana Sports Beat today. We'll be back with that, all that and more right after this from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former IU basketball player Derek Elson. Follow the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Watch how strange can be. Little red roosters on the prowl.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Arctic Wednesday. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Joined now by one of our absolute favorites, Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, also studio analyst for the BTN Network and Fox now. Mike, how are you, sir?
I'm great, Tim. How are you?
I'm great. I'm a little cold, but I'm great, man. It's chilly out there today.
It is, I know. We're not that far from you, and it's probably just as cold up here as it is there.
Yeah, I'm not quite ready for this, Mike. I haven't had a Bloomington winter in a long time since I was in college, actually, and I don't remember him starting this early, man.
Well, they keep saying on the TV news weather reports that the average temperature for these days is around 55 degrees, and that just makes it hurt worse.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'll take 55 all day right now. Whew. Well, there's something that's certainly not cool is the basketball action, and fresh off of a big upset last night, everybody's talking about the Evansville Purple Aces going to Lexington and beating the number 1 Kentucky Wildcats. Man, what a shocker that was!
Yeah, it's one. There are so many games on a given night, and you tape the one. I try to watch a lot, and so what I'll usually do is DVR a batch of games, and then I'll go through them in 40 minutes or so I don't have to sit through commercials, and so I can see more. And in that circumstance, Kentucky wasn't even one I thought about, and then I'm going through some tapes of some other games that were higher profile, like Missouri against Xavier, and all of a sudden I see that Kentucky's about to lose, and at that point it's too late. I can't go back and see what's happening. So it was it was quite a shocker for me. I did not see that coming at all. But I think it does show that, look, as Pitt learned over the weekend, they open with Florida State, they win, they think they're great. They play Nicholls State at home, they lose because they thought they were great. And Kentucky went into that game without the passion and attention to detail that they needed to have, and they ended up paying dearly for it.
You know, I asked last night with Todd Leary and I, we did a IU post-game show, and one of the things I asked him is, in this early part of the season, when these teams are playing teams they normally would not be in this pre-conference part of the schedule, why is it that these teams are able to give the better teams such games so often? We see this in this early part of the season, where when February, March rolls around, that disparity shows itself a lot more. But in the early season, man, it's anything goes.
Well, I think part of it is that you saw it last night in the locker room after the game. If you've seen the tapes from the Evansville locker room, it was a Super Bowl kind of game for them. They had nothing to lose. They threw everything that they had to win the game. And Kentucky looked at it as a layup. And that's the difference. The passion that you put into a particular duty plays a big part in whether it's done successfully. And Evansville, this was a huge game for them. It's not necessarily going to mean them getting into the NCAA tournament or anything, but the kids who were in that locker room are going to always know that they went into Rupp and won. They're going to be bragging about it for 35, 40 years. I know I would be. I mean, goodness, if I were a student who made the trip down, I'd be bragging about it for 35, 40 years. So I do think that that's a big part of why these things happen from time to time. And, you know, obviously Pitt, like I said, I bring up Pitt because they were an example of a team that made the same mistake. If you don't pay attention, you lose these games. And we've seen it in the past from Indiana when they weren't as good as Kentucky is this year. But it all is basically the same concept. You're playing at home. You've got better guys. You should win the game. But if you don't play hard, if you don't pay attention to that game, you're going to be in trouble. And I think you'll see that as well on occasion. And maybe it's not quite as shocking because it's not Evansville that does it, but you'll see it on occasion. Kentucky or someone like that will play a lesser. We saw it with Duke last year against Wake Forest, a lesser team from their own conference that's rolling along, losing games, and maybe even itself has kind of given up a little bit. But now they've got a chance to play in a big game against a great opponent that can be a memorable night. And all of a sudden they throw everything they have into it. And Wake Forest nearly beat Duke last year. It took a near miracle for Duke to win the game at Cameron. And so we've seen those things even inside leagues when, goodness, I mean, Indiana sweeping Michigan State a year ago. Michigan State swept Michigan, was a Final Four team, was the Big Ten regular season and tournament champion. And IU beats them twice because they were ready for that game, and Michigan State was not.
Yeah, that one still shocks me. I got to be honest with you, Mike. Indiana sweeping Michigan State last night is still a stunner to me with how their season had gone up to that point. But like you said, it did, and you've got to be ready. Every night you have to be ready for those games. The Big Ten itself, not turmoil, but we thought that Michigan State was going to be the absolute juggernaut, and they may end up still being that. But they start off the season with a loss. So the Big Ten is kind of up for grabs. Maryland's going to be good. We know they're going to be up there. Ohio State, we don't know what Michigan's going to be like. They had a nice little win over Creighton last night. So the Big Ten is probably going to be a very competitive league this year, I'm going to say.
You know, I think one of the things that we're seeing through the first week and the day of the conference season, the non-conference season, is a little bit of concern about how valuable a victory in the Big Ten will be to the various members. It's not been a good start for the conference. Iowa getting smacked at home by DePaul the other night. The first week, Illinois going on the road and losing big to Arizona. Not a bad loss, but they lost badly, if you know what I mean. And so these next couple of days are really important for the conference. Minnesota losing on the road to Butler was no great shock. After Eric Curry got hurt, we kind of knew that there was a good chance Minnesota wasn't going to have enough guys to be good. But Some of the games like Ohio State getting Villanova at home, that's a tough game. Villanova's really good. That's going to be that'd be a big game. Michigan State playing Seton Hall, albeit without Miles Powell, it'd probably be a little bit easier task. But again, it's a huge game for the conference. The Big Ten needs to win some of those Gavitt Games challenges. If they don't, it's going to be a maybe not quite another year like 2018 when Nebraska could finish 13-5 and not get into the tournament. But every out-of-conference game against a major opponent matters, and the first week didn't go great.
Yeah, Indiana's got a slate of 4 more games coming up. Last night they took on a North Alabama team. The night before, the game before that, they played a Portland State team that was a very scrappy team. They came in here with a lot of pressure. The game before that, for them, they had caused 31 turnovers. I was very surprised to see Indiana keep their turnovers down in that game to 10. And then last night against North Alabama, what a game by Trace Jackson Davis. That freshman, man, he is playing. He's playing, I don't want to say beyond his years in just the third game of his season, but he's playing pretty veteran-like right now.
Well, he has a great feel for the game. When I saw him at the Peach Jam last summer, not this past summer, but the summer before, I was really impressed with his feel for the game, with his passing ability. He has a great understanding of the game. He has a really good feel for rebounding positioning. You saw that last night with 6 defensive rebounds. And he went 14 of 15 from the line as well. A very difficult guard, obviously, for North Alabama to deal with someone as skilled as Trace. So it's a really nice start for him. I think you have to be very happy with that. And then also to be getting contributions from Jerome Hunter and Demezy Anderson to the level that they did. And Al Durham is continuing to be a high-level contributor. Another double-figure night for him. You know, the trick for all those guys, though, is once they build the confidence and the formula that they do in these games that they have to start the season, is then you have to be able to do all of those similar things when the competition escalates to high major level. That's the next step for these guys. The first step is to establish a foundation, which they're doing. Then it's to really hone the formula to win over the next 3-4 games, and then when the competition gets strong, then you have to be able to do all those same things against high major players.
Archie Miller's made no bones about this team has to get to the free throw line because of the lack of shooting that they have, especially with Devontae Green on the sideline right now. But man, oh man, did they do that last night. They went to the line 45 times. That's the most Indiana's done that since 2013. But more importantly, they hit 82% of those shots, Mike. And this Indiana has not been a good free throw shooting team over the last couple of years. But 82%, man, that's going to win you some ball games down the road.
That was a nice performance. And again, even more than the overall number was Trace's excellence there. Because if you look at the way they did it, it's a lot of 2 for 3s, 3 for 4s, and so you want guys to be able to make free throws, but what you really need is your top scorers to be able to earn free throws and convert. And so that was important to have Trace do as much as he did in that department. That was huge. And you mentioned the lack of shooting, but they shot the ball well last night. You had Demezy make a couple, Robert Finney made a couple. Al it was not his absolute best day, but he made 2 out of 6. You don't want to go 333 all year, but if that's your bad day, that's good. So I think that maybe they can, if you take high quality 3-point shots, even if you don't have an elite 3-point shooter, you can be at a number that can make you successful. So I think at least last night was a little bit promising in that regard.
Yeah, Justin Smith has had a good start to the season. Last night was not a very active night for him. He only had 3 points. He only took 2 shots, as a matter of fact, in 20 minutes of play. He had been very active in the games before that. But last night, I guess it was a different style of play. That North Alabama team, they were not very tall. So Indiana was just such a bigger team. And I knew you were going to just pound it inside and get to the free throw line, which they did. But up till now, Justin Smith has been kind of the player that a lot of people thought he was going to be last year, but seems to be showing shades of that right now.
Yeah, I mean, he was a very frustrating player to watch last year because he has ability, he's really bright, so he understands the game. And the question with him was whether the passion was there, whether he loved to play, whether he loved playing for Indiana, whatever the element was that was missing. It wasn't there on a nightly basis, and it was there pretty rarely, to be frank. And so that, I thought, coming into the year was one of the most important things for this Indiana team to be successful. If you ask me, the two most important things for Indiana to be successful would be, one, Justin Smith being invested, and two, Devontae Green being wise on the floor. And we haven't gotten a chance to see what Devontae is going to be in that regard, but we've gotten to see Justin really be invested in his success, in Indiana's success through the first several games. Even if you go back to the exhibitions, we've seen a different Justin Smith. So if he continues to be that guy, look, even if he has a night like last night where he doesn't get a lot done statistically, he also didn't get in Trace's way. So that's an important element as well. And I think that if we see from Justin over the course between now and April what we saw from him in the first month or so, I think that Indiana is going to be in very good shape.
One of the things that's been made a point of emphasis throughout college basketball this year has been the flopping call. I've seen, I think, 4 or 5 warnings in the IU games so far this year. Last night, we got the first call on a guy who got called for twice, resulting in a one-shot technical foul. But, man, they are definitely making this a point of emphasis this season.
I went to the rules. I don't know what they call it, but if you're an official, you have to go to a regional seminar. Maybe they call it that. It's one of the requirements for a Division I official in advance of the season. And there was one here in Indianapolis back in October, and I went to that. And when they started to talk about the flopping call, I mean, it was all I could do to not stand up and applaud. I mean, I was so thrilled that they were going to go in that direction. And so I've been really pleased with how little we've seen of that. We've seen a few calls, but I think there has been a reduction in the incidence of players trying to draw calls because they've been warned. Smart coaches all go out and hire officials to ref their practices and call the games as they would be called in the regular season, or call the scrimmage situations like they would be called. And if guys try to flop, they're going to get warned then. And so then they understand going into the year that if they try to do that, then they're putting their team in jeopardy. And so I've seen less flopping, or less of what I would consider flopping, than at any point in a while. So I'm really excited about what I've seen in terms of its effectiveness. I don't care if I never see a ref make that signal all year. I only care if we see guys try to go and get in front of a player and fall before they're hit and all those sorts of things. If we can see none of that, then that'll be terrific.
It certainly makes the game so much more enjoyable. It's one of the things that you hate when you watch the World Cup. The flopping is unbelievable, but it takes away the action of the game, and so it's looking forward to that. Congratulations on the Fox gig, by the way. Mike's added another. You're the king of the 3-letter jobs, man. You got TSN, BTN, and Fox.
well, except that TSN gave up its T like a decade ago, so. It's just sporting news. So, and our other product, the principal product of our company now, DAZN, is 4 letters, DAZN. So maybe TSN and DAZN averaged together comes out to 3 letters. So maybe we're good there.
For Fox, what are you going to be doing for them? Similar to what you're doing for BTN?
No, actually, I am going to be their bracket analyst. And I like that term because people keep wanting to call me a bracketologist. And look, my friend Joe Lenardi, who I've known for like 35 years, way before he got big, I've known Joe forever, and he invented the term bracketology like 30 years ago, 25, whatever it was. I still remember when we were doing the Blue Ribbon tournament preview right around then, he came up with that name. And then he didn't get it trademarked. And it's like, I'm like, Joe, you're brilliant. You're made a bunch of money off of ESPN for being this guy, but how could you not trademark that word? It's a great word. But I will not personally claim that, just out of respect for Joe. So I will be what I will call a bracket analyst. I like that term.
Fox bracket analyst. Mike DeCourcy has a good ring to it, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Anything coming up that we need to let the people know to find next article coming out that you have or whatever?
I just took on Alabama's place in the college football playoff, the ranking, placing them at number 5 with them not having beaten anyone of consequence.
I agree with that. Thank you very
Alabama.
much for that. Thank you so much, man. I so agree with that. It's been driving me nuts. And I got to be honest with you, I think Minnesota is still getting shafted. I know that
they are. Look, they're Minnesota, and they did have a soft schedule. I'm totally on board with their schedule was not elite.
Yeah, me too.
But neither was Alabama's. I mean, it's really that simple. They both went through meager, what I termed meager schedules through the first 8 weeks or whatever. And then they each got a monumental home game on their own turf, and then one pulled off a victory, and the other got whomped. So how do you rate one team 4 spots ahead of the other? It's just the reality is that if Alabama had Minnesota's exact resume, identical resume, they'd still be ranked near the playoff position. And if Minnesota had Alabama's exact resume, they'd still be ranked 8th or 9th because that's the names of their schools. And it's not the way it's supposed to work. I really wish that the committee, that the college football playoff would stop with this nonsense, go to automatic bids for each of the Power 5 conferences, establish a 6th bid for the best of the group of 5, whoever that might be, Western Michigan 1 year, Central Michigan 1 year, maybe Memphis or Cincinnati this year, whomever. And then go from there, and then add 2 at-larges. You got to accommodate Notre Dame if they belong, and then maybe a Georgia or whomever, maybe even Alabama. But not under this circumstance should Alabama be in the playoff position.
I couldn't agree more, Mike. I could not agree more. Hopefully we'll see that change as the season progresses out, man. But I cannot thank you enough always for your time. We greatly appreciate it. Look forward to doing it again soon as the season progresses.
Always a pleasure, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike DeCourcy from Sporting News, BTN, and Fox as a bracket analyst, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We got a lot more coming up from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Matt Weaver's with us next. Stay tuned. Back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
All right, all you Hoosiers out there, make sure you listen to my main man when it's time to talk about Indiana sports. Jim Coyle. All right.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Arctic Wednesday. Matt Weaver joining us now from Peaks.com. Matt, I hope you're bundled up, man.
Yeah, it's warm inside the house. I try not to go outside if I can help it because it's brutal.
Man, this is terrible. I mean, awful. And this has got to be, and I know these teams have indoor practice facilities, but even that's still got to be pretty, and weather like this, it's difficult to keep those big cavernous areas warm, man. That's got to make practice a little more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've been down there. The facility is real close to the stadium where they go into the locker room, but they do have to go outside for a minute to get from the tunnel to Mellencamp, the indoor facility. So it's always funny this time of when it's cold, or in the spring when it's cold and you're walking from that facility to the stadium, and you see guys from like Florida or Georgia. They act like it's pure torture. Those guys can't get inside fast enough.
Hey man, I agree with them. It is pure torture. I hate it. This is cold. Wow, but Indiana preparing to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions a week after they lose to Minnesota. Big. That was one of the bigger games in the conference so far this year. Congratulations to Minnesota. But now Indiana goes to Penn State. They're going to be obviously pissed off, and sometimes that doesn't matter. Sometimes it does as far as the outcome of a game, but it doesn't affect Indiana much. They're going in with the same mindset as they've gone into Nebraska or any place else they've gone this season.
Yeah, I mean, you got to for Indiana, you can't obviously what's happened with Penn State's schedule and what their record is and all that. You obviously can't control, so you just stick to what you can control. Prepare the best you can, go in there and play as hard as you can. I mean, I think this is a game. I said it against Nebraska, and it turned out to be not true. But I think this really is a game where you got to try to get off to a little bit better start. They didn't do a great job of that at Nebraska. They were able to obviously come back and win. Maryland, they got off to a pretty decent start, then had a few mistakes and kind of let Maryland back in the game. But I think this is a game where you got to come out and at least you can't fall behind 10 points or a couple touchdowns early on. That's going to make it really tough, especially with Penn State's got a really good D-line. I think they're second or third in the Big Ten in sacks, and so if you're back there and you have to throw every time and they know it, it's going to make it tough on your O-line and protection and all that. So coming out and the ball, you can move the ball in these. I watched the entire game against Minnesota, and Tanner Morgan's a fine quarterback from Minnesota, but I don't think he does things that Peyton Ramsey can't do. I mean, if the throws that they were making against Penn State are the same throws, in my opinion, that Ramsey excels at, the kind of quick slants, the kind of shallow crossers, the fade balls down the sideline, those are all the throws that Ramsey really seems to do well. So, protection is going to be key. And if Indiana can protect, I think there's some plays to be made there in the passing game.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's going to talk about. Minnesota exposed some things that you can do against Penn State, and Minnesota is similar to Indiana offensively with the throwing game, and those are probably the two best passing teams in the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, I don't. You're obviously not going to copy it 100%, but I think they did provide a blueprint for Kalen DeBoer and the offensive staff about, you know, how they can attack, you know, the Penn State defense. And, you know, like I said, their front defensive front's really good. And you still have to try to run the ball just like you did kind of against Northwestern, and then, you know, hopefully you start to just kind of wear them down. But they're, you know, like I said, if you can protect, you can do a good job of letting Ramsey have some time. And I think they'll come up with a game plan where he doesn't have to hold on the ball too long. You know, they'll try to get the ball out quick, and they've got obviously Indiana's got the skill players to make plays after they catch the ball, and, you know, Westbrook and obviously Wap, Philior, and Donovan Hale and Peyton Hendershot. You can go on and on David Ellis. They got guys that can make plays. So try to get it out quick, try to get them in space, and then let those guys do their thing.
Well, you've mentioned a couple of things that go hand in hand. The fact that Penn State has done so well on getting sacks. Indiana has done well on preventing sacks. They've given up the least this year in the Big Ten. Part of that, though, has been because of Michael Penix. When he's in, he has such a quick release. He gets rid of the ball quickly. Peyton Ramsey, hopefully, is going to be able to continue that trend, because that's going to be a very, very important equation into how well Indiana can do against them offensively.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, I think if you've seen some of the times this year when Indiana's played teams, obviously Ohio State was an outlier, but they're an outlier for everybody because, you know, when Chase Young's out there, I mean, it's just their whole defensive line is good, but obviously he's on a whole different level. But against Michigan State, which is a really good team and getting after the quarterback, the game plan was to get the ball out quick. And obviously Ramsey and Penix are a little bit different in that regard, but, and like I said, I watch Minnesota. I think Tanner Morgan's a fine player, but, you know, I think he's closer to a Peyton Ramsey type quarterback than he is to a Michael Penix as far as his ability. I mean, I don't think he has a huge arm. He's got a good arm, but, you know, I think they're very similar in playing style. So, you know, their offensive line did a great job, Minnesota's that is, and if Indiana's can do a comparable job, then I think, like I said, I think there's plays to be made, and I think Indiana can have some success on offense. To me, the game's going to come down to special teams and defense, because last year Indiana should have beat Penn State, and special teams let them down and lost them the game. And, you know, if you get KJ Hamler is an absolute beast as a returner, you can't give up big plays to him. And then defensively, you got to limit the big plays and try to make them grind it out. Sean Clifford's a good quarterback, but Minnesota showed if you can get some pressure on him, he gets a little bit skittish and he can make some mistakes. So hopefully Indiana can get in his face a little bit and make him uncomfortable.
You know, this season has got to be a boon for recruiting for Tom Allen. We look at what he had accomplished on the backs of 5 and 7 seasons, and now to have a season like this, that has got to just give a big boost to his recruiting efforts.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be a smaller class. I mean, I think you talked about that on Monday, and obviously the attrition can change that. You know, I've mentioned it every time or all the time that in today's day and age with the transfer portal, guys coming and going, it's just part of it now. And even, you know, when a team's winning, there's going to be some guys that are not completely happy because they're not playing as much, you know. So I'm not saying there's going to be guys that leave, but it won't be shocking if it does happen because it's just part of it. But yeah, I've heard of you know, highly ranked guys, you know, contacting the staff and kind of saying, hey, I've noticed what you guys are doing. You know, we've gotten, you know, there's been stories on 247. There's a 4-star defensive end, Jason Harris from Arizona, that's going to visit in December. I mentioned last week 4-star DB Jaden Francois from down in South Florida is coming in December that same weekend. Another 4-star prospect out of Arizona, Darvon Hubbard, who's actually originally from Akron, Ohio, and his family moved out to Arizona. I talked to him this week, and it looks like he's going to try to set up a visit. So, you know, they're you know, high 3-star defensive tackle, DeMarje Lewis from down in Georgia. He's coming for the Michigan game. So the recruiting, it's starting to, you know, the success on the field is paying dividends. And I said it'll probably show up more in the 21 class, just because, by the time you started winning this year, guys had already kind of committed or kind of locked in where they were kind of what schools they were looking at. But this is huge for recruiting. If there's any guys out there left over because of coaching changes or guys come free, this is the kind of season that maybe you could get somebody's attention that you didn't have their attention 2 or 3 months ago, and you might be able to land a guy that you normally don't land or wouldn't have had a chance with. But the season has opened their eyes and given you that opportunity.
Yeah, here's the thing that I'm looking at down the road with Indiana's team, mostly comprised of underclassmen. 80 of 113. 2 years from now, they're going to have some monster classes, I would think, or bigger than normal sizes. And the success they're having right now could not come at a better time because you are planning for the future right now. And man, if they put another season behind them like this season, when those big classes roll around, Tom Allen should be able to clean up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you hear coaches say, obviously you got to replace the guys that you lose, but you want to try to do it, especially if you have a big group. Like you mentioned, in a couple of years, the secondary. If you look at Indiana secondary, a lot of these guys are in the same class. They're sophomores and freshmen or redshirt freshmen. So you're going to have a lot of like DBs in a couple of years that you're going to have to replace, and you kind of like to. You can't replace them all now, but you maybe like to get a little bit of a head start so that you don't have to bring in like half a dozen in one class or something like that, and have a big DB class. Same thing with O-line. You try to hopefully maybe start a little bit early, so then when there's a big group that leaves, you've already started to kind of patch it up a little bit. You don't have to take such a big group in one class. But yeah, for the next couple of years, it'll be smaller classes. But I think after that 21 season, I think that's when you'll get back to where it's going to be a big class, and hopefully you got a couple 7, 8, 9 win seasons behind you, maybe more, and you're really rocking and rolling on the recruiting trail.
Well, speaking of rocking and rolling, the bowl season comes around here in a little while. It's still too soon to determine where Indiana might be headed because of what happens in front of them. But the talk is obviously good, and it's a lot of Florida talk. But there's some things that have to happen for Indiana to end up in a Florida Bowl. I mean, they have to make. I think they need to win one of these 2 Big Ten East games against either Michigan or Penn State to end up in Florida personally, because of the teams that are in front of them. But we'll see. But I think that they have some good opportunities if they can get that done.
Yeah, and I think there's a decent chance that even if they just win, let's say they win the Purdue game, they get to 8 wins. I think if they get to 8 wins, I think that'll bump them above the pinstripe. What's it called now? The Red Box Bowl. I keep thinking Foster Farms because that one was a couple of years ago.
Red
and obviously
Box
the Quick Lane Bowl. I think they're already past the Quick Lane Bowl. Even if they didn't win another game, I don't think they're going there. But I think if they win one more, I think it bumps them up. And I've heard some whispers that maybe even the Holiday Bowl could be in play out in San Diego. And obviously people talk about the Gator Bowl and the Outback Bowl. I think the Gator Bowl is called the Tax Slayer Bowl. To me, it's always the Gator Bowl, but I think it's called the Tax Slayer Bowl now in Jacksonville. So, and then obviously if you win a couple games, you win 2 of these 3, it could bring maybe the Citrus Bowl into play. I mean, that's, obviously that's you have to win at least 2, and, I don't know if they'd have to win 3, but, it's fun to talk about, because before a couple of years ago, it was just trying to get 1 win and hopefully get to, the Quick Lane Bowl or something like that. And obviously they got to go to Pinstripe and the one out in California, the Foster Farms Bowl. But this is it's a lot of fun. I mean, this season's been a lot of fun for people in our position because it's not fun covering a team that's struggling and struggling to get wins. I mean, I tell people it's kind of like writing obituaries every week. Those are not a lot of fun to do.
That's a great analogy, man, and that's the exact truth. Because when you're losing, there's no happiness around. It's just disappointment, not with the team, the fans, and you got people complaining. That's not happening right now. I mean, things could be a little bit better only if they were undefeated, but I can't imagine things being a lot better for this football program right now, especially with where they've been and the historical aspect of this, Matt, of what they're doing. It is historical. I mean, they're ranked for the first time in a generation. They're bowl eligible for the first time in October in a generation. And when I say a generation, I mean there's not a kid on the IU campus that was born the last time this football team was ranked.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's amazing, and I'm not going to date myself with how old I was when it happened, but let's just say I couldn't legally drink the last time Indiana was ranked in the top 25. So it's awesome, And I think the other interesting kind of subplot in this season is what happens with Tom Allen's contract after the season. I don't think there's any doubt. I know there's already been a report, I think from Indy Star, that that he's going to get a new deal, and I think it's to me it's the right thing to do. He's got 3 years left after this contract, and Indiana's one of these schools where I think the coach needs that kind of security when in recruiting. At some schools, you can recruit on a shorter deal because a lot of times kids are committing to the helmet or the stadium or the tradition and all that kind of stuff. At Indiana, you're committing to that coaching staff and what they've developed and the culture they have. So, hopefully Indiana comes through. It'll be interesting to see what they do and what kind of numbers it is. But obviously, it's not just him, but his whole staff. I think Caleb DeBoer, who is getting paid, I think $800,000, one of the highest paid coordinators in the Big Ten, or at least in the top half. He's earned every penny and then some. I think he definitely probably deserves a raise as well.
Absolutely, man. I look forward to seeing that. Matt, thank you, sir. I cannot thank you enough. Make sure you check out Matt at Peegs.com. You keep up with Indiana football, recruiting, everything you need to know from Matt Weaver. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Stay warm, my brother.
Okay, you too. Take care, guys.
You bet. Matt Weaver joining us on Peegs.com. We've got a lot more coming up on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Stay tuned. We're back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Speed Radio on this Wednesday. What a great show already, man. Mike DeCourcy, he's always solid gold. Love having Mike on. He is just fun. Matt Weaver from Peaks.com, we just wrapped up with him. Lots of information on IU football. If you were in a hole last night, UK lost to Evansville. That's Kentucky. University of Kentucky lost to Evansville. The Purple Aces. A team that lost, I think, 12 out of the last 14 games last year. A team that's picked to finish 8th in their conference. And they don't play in the Big Ten. They made that announcement at Assembly Hall last night during the North Alabama game. It drew a round of applause, as you can might imagine, and a breakout chant of Evansville, Evansville, Evansville. They'll be celebrating. I'll be making T-shirts right now. I'll be wearing that T-shirt right now. That was upset. How about the Pacers? I meant to talk about them earlier. They beat the Oklahoma City Thunder last night, 111-85. They started the season with 3 losses. But since then, they've won 7 out of their last 8. Getting things turned around. And something else the Pacer fans may be very happy about. Victor Oladipo practiced full court with the G League team, the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. So his progression is moving along. Pacers' next game is Friday against former Hoosier Eric Gordon and the Houston Rockets down in Texas. So we'll see how that goes. Had the opportunity to talk to George Leach last night. George is in town with Jeff Newton for an event that they're working Saturday because they're providing barbecue. They have a barbecue business now. And this is not some side business barbecue deal. This is a full-on fledged business. They do work with NASCAR. They're down in Charlotte, which is the hub of NASCAR. They're very well known down there. They've got stuff. We're gonna get all their information to put online. We'll put it on the website, and I'll send it out on social media as well. But I had a great chance to talk to George, and very fun and a good conversation. We were at Yogi's, of course, doing the post-game show after the game with Todd Leary. I forgot to mention that, too. What a great time at Yogi's last night. It wasn't didn't start out great. We had a technical issue with the Wi-Fi, but I didn't have a stroke. I thought I was going to have a stroke because of it. But the conversation with George was just fun, man. He is so well-spoken and great. Let's get to that now. George Leach, former Indiana Hoosier, now the king of the one of the king of the barbecues kings now. Him and Jeff Newton down in Charlotte, North Carolina. Ooey Barbecue. You guys are in town to do the big event, I think, on Saturday for those Hoosier Hysterics guys. But looking forward to that. What's been going on with you?
Oh man, just working, having kids,
family life.
Yeah, family life. It's good though. It's good.
What's it like coming back to campus? I know you've probably been back more than once. But
yeah, this is probably my third time. I came with my wife the past 2 times. This time I'm here, and it should be here at the end of the weekend, end of the week or whatever. But it's been good, man. It's different. Everything looks new. It's like, well, wait, I went to class here, right? What is this building? So it's cool to see how everything's grown up, how everything's, completely different.
Absolutely. I don't think I could get around without a roadmap. I went to school here before you, so it's even older. But now you're in the barbecue business. First of all, how did you and Jeff get into doing that together?
Oh, man. So Jeff was still playing. I was already home for about a year. I had torn my Achilles tendon. And it was time to go ahead and figure something out. And I had this crazy scheme. I was actually barbecuing in my driveway in a cast. In a cast. And our HOA was like, hey, you want to start cooking at the pool? I'm like, sure. Made a decent amount of money and bought us a food truck, and then, did good. And then 1 led to 2 led to a shop. Shop led to NASCAR. We haven't looked back
Talk
since.
about the NASCAR connection.
Yeah, so, I don't want to paint it like, NASCAR's like what we do and what's our end all be all. You know, we're not the official barbecue of NASCAR. We're just the barbecue that does all their official events. So, but you know, it's good. It's a blessing to have the opportunity. We get to serve a lot of people, which leads to caterings, to leads to getting in different kind of NASCAR teams. You know, all those guys have like 400 or 500 people in each facility. So you get a gig going there once, twice a year. There's people, at least 3 or 4 people are going to call you for return business. So it's good. It's good.
I'm going to hook you up with my brother. My brother's a state trooper down in Charlotte, in the Charlotte area.
Yeah.
So we'll get you guys hooked up. And talk about how, because that's got to be fun, because you get to meet a lot of people. I mean, obviously you're making money and doing things, but it's meeting the people. It's just got to be a big part of the fun.
It's cool. I've kind of changed my role a little bit. Jeff is more of the operations guy. I cook and book everything, but occasionally, I get on the truck and just interact with people. It's good. It kind of keeps us balanced to where, with basketball, you play and then you have to do your stuff outside of basketball. You got to do your PR stuff like that too. So that's kind of, I like interacting with people. You get to see that people actually like your food. They don't care about you shooting a damn ball. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with that. It's like we actually like your food. We like you cook for our daughter's wedding. That means a lot to me. So.
Now, do you guys have a bunch of different types? Talking about the different types you have. It's IUBB barbecue, right?
Yeah, it's IUBB barbecue. As far as like the food realm of it, we're not generic, but we keep it simple. Pork, chicken, salmon, brisket. We have some of the best brisket, some of the best salmon you will have. And you can get pork anywhere. Our pork is good. Chicken is chicken to me. This is me. Our sauce is different. Our sauce is like, if you're from North Carolina, east and west, right? Vinegar-based, tomato-based, a lot of the red pepper kind of stuff. But I grew up vinegar-based. So I wanted a healthy mix, of everything, east meets west type of thing. So I made my sauce a little bit thicker. It is vinegar-based. But you can get that little bite at the end, a little sweet and heated at the other end of it. So we kind of try to keep that special barbecue sauce for our business.
Talking with former Hoosier George Lee. You're originally from Charlotte, right?
Yes, sir. Born and raised.
How did you end up in Indiana?
Coach Knight. He came to my house, man. I stood with my dad. It's like, damn, I got Coach Knight in my house. What am I going to tell the boys about this?
I've got to hear the recruiting story, because I've heard all these different recruiting stories from either Todd or Michael Lewis, and they're all, half the time, they're funny. With Michael, he said they had a meeting in his office in Assembly Hall. His parents were there. He walked in. He said, Michael, would you like to play basketball in Indiana? He goes, yeah, that'd be kind of good. He goes, all right. Slapped him on the back, said, I'll have my people talk to you. And that was it. That was the entire pitch.
It's crazy. It's like, you hear the stories from the Indiana guys, and then you got us out-of-state guys. It's like, how y'all get up here, And when you get a guy like that, he makes an impression on you. It's like, a lot of coaches came in the house. My mom's a big-time cook, big-time baker, so everybody came there to eat pretty much. But Coach Knight really came there to convince my parents that, hey, your son is coming halfway across this United States, coming up north, and they're cold, and I'm going to take care of him. I'm going to make sure he gets his degree, and then he's going to become a good basketball player. So, my parents trust me. My dad's retired Army, so I grew up in that kind of structure. So that worked for me. So.
And you were there, of course, during a very difficult time for all the players. Of course, you were there when Coach Knight got fired from Indiana, which was a difficult time. And now there's a lot of times we see him in and around Bloomington. He actually came to a baseball game last year, which is good to see for the fans. And he's bought a house here in Bloomington. I'm not sure if he's living here yet or not. But
he is. I heard he's living a few doors out from Hornsby.
Is that right? So I didn't realize Hornsby lived here. So.
Yeah, he lives here, yeah.
So very cool. But that had to be just a special time for you to getting to play for an Indiana-type program under Bob Knight. That had to be pretty cool.
It was cool. Like I was talking to, I come back every year to see, well, not every year. Whenever I come back, I make it a point to see Tim Garrell. Like, he's the father figure of this team. He's the constant median of Indiana basketball to me. So
you're not the first person to tell me that.
People don't understand like that. He need to retire, sit down somewhere. He getting old, and Tim's just there for him. So he fills me in on everything. What's going on, how's coach doing, and just you don't get that everywhere,
right?
So
what's the best part of having played at Indiana for you?
Just a family. It's crazy. It's like, me, the guys my year, like, Mike Roberts, we call him Boss. Y'all call him Mike Roberts. Coverdale, Odell, Dane, Hornsby, you know, it's always like it's all pick up where we left off. You know, me and Jeff still best friends, work together every day, and kill each other. You know, we still talk to Cub. You know, we still, you know, Indiana basketball like that kind of thing where you don't have a name on the back of your jersey. You know, you're going out there fighting for each other. It's not about recognition for yourself from when we played. You know, it's about going out there fighting for each other and just developing camaraderie and just believing each other. So.
Now, you got a big event Saturday. That's the Hoosier Hysterics is putting that event together at the Bluebird, and you're cooking for that, though. You guys are cooking. That's got to be a lot of pressure, cooking for all the Indiana people.
I love what I do. Barbecue is like my, I don't know, it's tougher than basketball, believe that or not. I love to do it. You know, I wake up every day. I get to take my kids to school, go to my shop, cook for people, pick my kids up from school, and then think about what I'm going to do, you know, to make this thing better. So, it is 1,000 people. We are prepared. You know, we don't just take things lightly. You know, this is a big deal. You know, I was blessed enough to have, you know, Eric Pentecost who said, you know, he talked to Jeff first about doing the podcast, and I've been busy with, man, I don't have time to do a podcast, bro. Like, and then he was like, man, I want to get this done. And then first it was like 120 people, and then it turned into almost 1,000. And it's like, you know, another day at NASCAR for us, but at the same time, it's like, you know, I'm excited to let people know what we're doing. They get to taste what we've been doing. You know, this isn't just two guys coming up with some stuff on the smoker. Now, this is thought out, you know, streamlined business that we're going to serve to you guys as fast as we can in 3-4 hours. And the quality of the product is not going to drop. That's what we do.
I'm looking forward to trying it, man. I've heard so much about it. Talking to Todd so much, one of the things that he always talks about is lessons that he learned from Coach Knight when he played basketball that he still uses in his life today, preparing to fail, doing all these different things. Are there any lessons that you brought from that you use every day?
The way I discipline my kids. Let me explain that.
Yeah, you better put a caveat on that one.
Look, so when we were in practice sometimes, right, so Coach Knight would be like, take a knee, right? And sometimes, you know, he might grab that jersey every now and then, you know, take a knee. So my oldest, you know, I got lucky. I got a uniform for kids. Like, they are great. The new baby is awful.
How many kids you got?
2, a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old 30-pound monster. But my oldest is a unicorn. But sometimes, you know, he's a boy, so he gets a little, you know, out of line sometimes. Not bad, where it's, you know, he doesn't embarrass his public. But I'm going to take a knee. I grab that shirt, and that's it. And he gets it. You know, like, sometimes, like, it's not – what I learned with Coach Knight and the small time I played for him is it's not how he's saying, it's what he's saying. Like, he won't waste his time talking to you like that. And some people just can't handle it. They're too soft. You know, I grew up in a different environment. So I like that, you know, and those type of things are being instilled in my kids. So.
Yeah, I think most people, myself included, grew up in that time. It was a different environment. You were used to coaches handling things in a different way, and some people couldn't handle that. But it's like you said, it's the lesson that's trying to be imparted upon them.
It's crazy how these guys have birth dates on the team right now. They have no idea who Coach Knight is. It's like, man, you don't even know.
It's crazy. And speaking of this team, you got a chance to watch it. You were at the game tonight. What do you think of the team? A lot of some really talented young players on there. Trace Jackson Davis, a big night for him as a freshman. Big night as a freshman for him.
Yeah, you know, you kind of want to see how you kind of play against, you know, different competition, right? So you want to play, you know, we're Indiana, so we're supposed to be on Indiana's level, you know. So when you play down to the level of your competition, it kind of shows what you are. You know, at first, you know, we started off slow and then we kept coming back, which is what we should have did. But the guys are young. You know, I look at it from a big standpoint. You know, I want the ball. You know, so the game is different nowadays. You have to look at it in a whole nother fashion of how basketball is being played. You know, more perimeter. We're a bigger team than I thought we were going to be. It's a big team down there. You know, so, you know, I felt as though everything's going in the right direction. You know, which is actually, that's all you can hope. You know, it takes time to rebuild. Like, yeah, we are in basketball, but, you know, do we want a bunch of one-and-dones to be done? Like, I'm a 4-year guy. 5-year, shit. I mean, sorry.
It's all right. We're not on radio right now. We're online. You can say it. Yeah,
right?
We're online. You can say
Yeah,
whatever
I mean,
you want.
I'm a red shirt. I played all my years here. I got my degree from here. So I had good years, good team.
It makes a difference in a team as far as chemistry over those couple of years of getting things going. That you see so many of those one and done. Not at Indiana necessarily. But
you don't see it in Indiana. Indiana's one of those still traditional schools, which is great. And if that's what Indiana is what Indiana is. It's our identity color day. So, maybe we'll, I'm pretty sure we'll recruit and everything. We will allure another one and done, whatever kind of guy coming in. So I'm sure we will. It's Indiana basketball. We should. So.
Now, do you guys have any on your barbecue? Do you have any sauces that you sell? Can people buy them online? And how can they get to them? What's because I'm gonna pump this out, man. We're gonna get this on social media.
The website is IUBBarbecue.com. That's EAT 3 O's WEEBBQ.com. We are working on our online merchandise site right now. We brought here to Indiana with us 200 shirts. They have our slogan, "You name it, we smoke it," which people get a kick out of that. Our logo on the back. We have
selling those.
Yeah, we're selling those. We have our Carolina dry rub. We have our salt rub. So we have 2 rubs. We have our barbecue sauce as well. So we have 3 things that people can come in and. Not if you want to cook like us, but these things go on every single thing you cook every single day. Even if you're frying an egg on a pan, you can use something on there to enhance your meal. So
we'll get that out. We'll get this on our website. We'll get this stuff posted out. So if you're looking for the IUBB barbecue, you're gonna be able to find it on Indiana Sports Beat. We'll put that out there for you, man. George, I cannot thank you so much. George Leach, former Indiana Hoosier. I appreciate you joining us and look forward to seeing you this week. We'll be around. So
I'm excited.
Thanks a lot for joining us and get that barbecue ready, man.
Oh, yeah, you're ready.
All right. There's George Leach, former Indiana Hoosier, joining us right now. Man, that was a fun conversation with George Leach. What a good dude, man. I cannot wait to eat some of that barbecue. We were sitting in Yogi's talking about that last night, which I was starving as it was, and all I could think about was having some of those Cajun chicken tenders from Yogi's last night. I didn't get to do that, but when it was over, I ended up getting making my own kind of thing with Cajun sandwich from Yogi's. I turned their chicken tenders sandwich into a Cajun one. It was the Cajun sauce. Oh my gosh. I used it this morning when I got up on the mashed potatoes. It's so good. I cannot wait to go back and just try page 1 and page 2 of the menu. I may go there today for lunch. It's killing me. The food is amazing. Yeah, make sure you get up to Yogi's, man. We'll be back there on Saturday, by the way. Post game, IU basketball after the game with Todd Leary. Saturday after the IU Troy game. That's a late game. They start at 8 o'clock, so we'll be there around 10 o'clock. But perfect timing. Saturday night, Yogi's. Can't think of a better place to be, man. Come out and join us out there. We'll have it set up. You can hear it. You'll be able to hear it inside Yogi's. Todd Leary, of course, get a Hoosiers basketball program. Had a great time talking to George Leach last night as well. Expected to see a lot of people this weekend. Looking forward to that. But we got a lot more coming up here. When we come back, we're going to hear from Todd Leary, and he'll break down the Indiana win over North Alabama last night. Stay tuned. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club and Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former IU basketball player Derek Elson. Follow the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Yeah, it's cold outside, man. Wish I had some ooey barbecue to warm me up. Or, thank goodness I have some Yogi's Cajun Ranch dressing that I am going to pour on something. I don't care if it's Cocoa Puffs. I'm pouring that on something today. Yeah, I know that doesn't sound good to me either, Jake, but you don't understand. This stuff's good, man. Have you been to Yogi's yet? They've only been open for a couple of days. Oh, dude, I was in there last night before the game. Packed. It was packed. With good reason. The food's amazing. The service is amazing. Chris, Nathan Finney, and the Finney Hospitality Group, Chris, they're doing a phenomenal job. It looks good. You're just going to enjoy the heck out of it. And guess what? Guess what you don't have to worry about when you go there? Parking. It may be the only bar/restaurant that has a parking garage built over top of it. Not bad. Not bad at all. Had a chance to talk to Todd last night. Todd Leary broke down the North Alabama win. Indiana, of course, winning big last night. Not the case for Kentucky as they lose to Evansville. Oh, did I say that again? Anyway, Indiana played North Alabama. They played Troy this Saturday. We're back at Yogi's on Saturday night after the game. Don't forget, after the game with Todd Leary will be coming to him. But here's Todd's breakdown of the Hoosiers' win over North Alabama.
Archie used, and he has for all of these games, but a ton of different lineups, rotations, guys in there, different formulas, big, small. Is this just him testing out that, or is this just that you can run anybody in there right now? Or is he looking to see what's going to work 5-6 games from now?
No, I mean, I think he's looking to see what's going to work. I don't know. I don't have any inside information. I don't know the reason why Finney hasn't started any of the ball games so far, but I can tell you for the first time he started the second half, and that's probably a sign that we're going to see him start the ball games from here on out, or we may. But who knows? I don't know why he hasn't been starting. I thought he's played great. Could be minutes. It could be they want him in there with a certain lineup. It could be any sort of things. Here's one of the things I learned, pretty early on is it's not who starts the ball game, it's who finishes it. And when you play well enough and you play at a certain level, you know they can't take you out of the ball game, and so it's not that big a deal who starts it, in my opinion. But you know, Finney is a guy I think that it wasn't a fluke last year. He didn't. You know, he's not having a sophomore jinx right now, because I can tell you he's solid out there on the court, and it's tough to take him off the court right now from a coaching staff's perspective.
Yeah, Finney played 22 minutes tonight, 26 minutes in the last game off the bench as well. So that's a lot of minutes off the bench. And if you're going to play that much, I don't understand why you wouldn't start.
Well, but the 29 minutes out of Al Durham is the most on the team, and beyond that, the 22 minutes is the next most. So, you know, everybody played a lot of minutes tonight. I mean, you're looking at 20, you know, 29, 20, 20, 22, 22, 18, 19. So everybody played a lot of minutes tonight. I never really look at that as a big deal. I think they're not trying to get these guys worn out. They're definitely not trying to get them injured. They're trying to get them through some nagging injuries to start the season out. And you know, this is just exactly what I think you would expect. And minute-wise, when you look at what they had tonight, I think that's probably exactly what you'd expect out of Archie Miller this early in the season.
Tom likes the group of Trace Jackson Davis, Justin Smith, Jerome Hunter, Al Durham, and Rob Finney on the floor. That's a group.
There'll be a lot
people.
of games. I'm sure that's the starting lineup. I wouldn't doubt that a bit. I mean, they may, depending on who they're playing, may try to throw some more bigs in there and get Joey Brunk on the court. And you know, you may see Jerome Hunter be out of that lineup. But what a great dude to bring in off the bench. I mean, he to me, this is the most comfortable game I think I've seen out of him. He looked comfortable in the rhythm of the offense. He took some good shots. He was only 1 for, what was he? 1 for 4 from the three-point line. But they all looked good. They were all in the rhythm of the offense. I really thought he looked good tonight. His three-pointer he's going to be a guy they look at to make some three-pointers throughout the season, and I don't think I would have said that going into the year.
Jennifer said she loved Archie Miller's fire, taking the tie off and motivating the team. IU basketball coaching hasn't had that fire in many years. Well, it's easy to have fire when your team's getting beat like it was in the first half. They didn't have a great first half.
Indiana?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because of the score, I mean, I'll just say defensively, I'll look at the game film with that and see defensively maybe what they could have done. I couldn't really tell if a lot of those three-pointers were I mean, there were some contested shots that were made, I can tell you that. And when North Alabama was 6 of 8 from the three-point line, I know 3 of those had gone down by number 3, and they were contested shots. So they weren't getting wide open looks, but you know that's part of it. You've got to withstand those runs from teams, and you know I didn't think they played great. I didn't think they played with as much emotion tonight. If you had to nitpick something, I mean, I thought throughout the game, throughout 40 minutes, I think they gradually got better throughout the game. That's a great sign. I think they played a full 40 minutes. That's a great sign. But I think early in the game, I don't necessarily think that they had, you know, the fire in them. And you know, maybe that's a little bit of what you're talking about. And how do you get excited for a game like this? You know, they're in game 3 of, you know, they got another one Saturday. But weekend games are just a little bit different. You know, the fan base has a little different. Plus, it's 12 degrees outside right now, so the fans weren't really into this one. Even the student section, they didn't want to walk over to the game. It was so cold. So, you know, that's all part of it. We live in Indiana. I mean, this is what January and February is going to be like at the home games.
What did you like from what you saw overall from this team tonight?
I like the fact that they were able to take the punches from North Alabama, and they were some haymakers. I mean, they were throwing down some big-time shots, and when a team is able to make and you could say your defense should have been able to stop them, but when a team is able to make some contested three-pointers and make 3 or 4 of them in a row, that's a lot of points in a row to be able to withstand. A team, you can easily be down 10 points without even blinking. You know, Indiana at one point had shot 16 free throws, and North Alabama had shot 0. I think if you interviewed their coaching staff right now, they'd probably say they got homered quite a bit in this ball game. Indiana shot 45 free throws. You know, I would probably say it seemed a little bit one-sided on some of the calls that were going on, but I like the fact they got themselves to the free throw line.
At the beginning of the game when we did the pregame, I talked about that the size, Indiana's size, is so much bigger than North Alabama that they're just going to pound it inside. And they did. Trace Jackson, 15 free throws he shoots, and he hits 14 of them, but he got to the line a lot. That's getting to the line a lot.
It is. That is, those are big-time numbers. I mean, one, making 14 out of 15 is awesome, but getting to the line 15 times is not an easy thing to do. It's like James Harden type stats you're putting up out there, but it's a good thing he's putting himself in a position to be able to get those calls. He's obviously working hard and getting his defender in a vulnerable position to where he's getting himself fouled into the line. And, if there's going to complain about some foul calls that were made, it weren't the ones that were against Trace Jackson Davis. It would have been maybe the guard reaches and some of that stuff, but the ones against him were legit, and you give him tons of credit for going 14 for 15 from the line.
One of the knocks on this team in the last couple of years is the inability to knock down free throws. They've just simply not done that. Tonight, that was not the case. You mentioned they went to the line 45 times. They hit 37 of those. I don't have the percentage
82%.
pulled up. That's 82% has got to be the best I can remember for the last 2 years of this team, at least.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it is or not, but
especially with that amount of free throws, that's crazy.
At that amount of free throws, and you're looking at, those freshmen and those young guys shooting a good portion of those. I mean, heck, 14 of 15 from him. Finney only shoots 4 free throws, so it's not like you had your veterans, sophomores, doing the majority of that. It was just an all-around good job of Indiana. It looks like everyone except for Demezi that got in the ball game shot at least 2 free throws. So that's a pretty good sign. And Demezi, for whatever reason, not playing in that last game, he came out in this game and had 10 points on 4 or 5 shooting. That's a positive. Demezi's a guy that can be a real bonus for Indiana. I think defensively, if they can get him to be a bigger impact defensively, I think offensively he's going to help this team if he's out there on the court.
That was Todd Leary talking about the Indiana win over North Alabama last night. As the Hoosiers go 3-0 on this young season. Now they prepare to take on Troy on Saturday. That game tips at 8 o'clock. You've got IU football during the day at noon as they are at Penn State in a big game for the Hoosiers. If the Penn State obviously coming off of a big loss to Minnesota, are they primed for back-to-back upsets? Indiana, if they get an upset of either Penn State or Michigan, that would absolutely secure, in my mind, a January New Year's type bowl for this team. Of course, that goes with, I'm assuming they're going to beat Purdue, which would be a 9th win. So this football team still has some special things in front of it, possibly as they go forward. But tomorrow on the program, as we do Thursdays, brings our Indiana Sports Beat Reporters program. On the program tomorrow, as always, Dustin Schutte from Saturday Tradition. Elton Hayes is going to be with us from CNHI Papers in Penn State. Elton covers the Nittany Lions. And Dylan Sin, our good friend from the Fort Wayne Sentinel. He's an AP voter, by the way. So looking forward to talking to Dylan, all 3 of the guys, but about the vote this week. I was talking to Mike DeCourcy earlier on the program, and we could have gone on about football, and he feels the same as that I do. Minnesota is getting shafted in this thing. Man, they're 9-0, and they've kept them below 2 lost teams last week in the college football playoffs. They make a big jump after the big win over Penn State. But to me, that's not enough. They're 9-0. There is no one-loss team, in my opinion, that should be in front of them. Yeah, their earlier schedule was weak, but they gelled together and they got a huge win. They beat the number 4 team in the country. Alabama hasn't done that. Alabama hadn't played anybody except for LSU, and they lost at home. So, and Oregon, when I see Oregon in front of them, I'm like, what are you all doing? Are you kidding me? Oregon lost. It's just bias. It's just like if this was Indiana. It would be the same thing. This is on names. That's like today, the Heisman Trophy winners and all that. It used to be the absolute best player in college football. It's not the case anymore. It's the perceived best player on the perceived best team in college football now. So, generations have changed their opinions on how they do things, social media and all that stuff. All that has played a part in that change. But, oh, well, I'm not going to go off into an old man rant, get off my lawn rant there. But that's as close as we're getting on that today. But, man, what a great show we had. Cannot thank Mike DeCourcy enough from Sporting News, BTN, and Fox. Mike's one of my favorite guests. Comes on about once a month. We don't want to wear him out. Keep him fresh. Comes on. Matt Weaver from Peaks.com was with us as well. We heard from George Leach, former Hoosier baller, and, of course, Todd Leary. We heard from Archie Miller, Trey Jackson Davis as well. We got a lot more coming up tomorrow, as I said. Until then, thanks to Jake for keeping us on the track. I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.